Welcome to Two Guys.
A girl.
And an MBA.
Speaking of oil, I mean, they put sanctions on Russia, but it's been largely ineffective. They've been selling their oil just fine to India, I think, and China,
Not
and
anymore. Not anymore. I think it's Trump or someone. Yes,
maybe now it's going to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in January it was like India stopped by this because of sanctions.
Okay. Okay. But the main deal with oil was that Russia was the main supplier of Germany, right? And then that has kind
Mm,
of been cut off. We'll see.
they have other countries not far from you, Yusuf, with
Yeah,
oil.
right. Yeah. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. Yeah. Which
So
I think
it's
Saudi Arabia is in the BRICS now too.
yeah. I think they agreed this Germany, Thailand, someone else.
And the BRICS nations are quickly de-dollarizing. Like I think I sent an article out to you
Mm-hmm.
guys. India and Indonesia are now directly trading in their own currencies. So, this has not been widely broadcast in the news, but it's kind of a big deal if big countries like India and China start doing direct transactions, especially for oil and basic commodities,
Mm-hmm.
not in US dollars. This is a huge deal. You could see this is, you could say this is the beginning of the American empire crumbling. This is the dollar losing strength. No, you don't think so? We were talking about it last week. We
No.
ended on we both thought it's in decline. What do you think?
I think there are much more opportunities for you know development and everything. It's not only about dollars. They have not. US has so many resources, people, technology, new technology. First of all, ChatGPT. You know
Mi-
what
mi-
happens? Like, but it was
mi-
like what deep sunk, and then 2 days ChatGPT update version, and
and
never
also the
mind.
800 military bases around the world is still, yeah, I
Mhm.
hear you.
You brought up the decline, and when a country has to expand geographically, that's the beginning of a decline. It happened in the Roman Empire. It's happened a lot of times, and it's a function of there's certain metrics they use where internally they can't seem to not only govern themselves but creatively, environmentally, they've kind of exhausted things. So I think America is in a pivotal moment. I think Elena's right. I think it's totally underdeveloped. The center parts of America have so many resources. I think population wise, it could go twice as much and still not even fill up the land mass. At the same time, I think internally they're rotten. There is so much excess. You can see what Doge is doing right now, right? Uncovering, all these wacky projects, and it's a function of excess corruption and a lazy country that has so much money. So I think Trump's going to take care of that internal part. But if not stop, yeah, it would be a country in decline. And I can tell you that they don't want to take territory. They just want to have business deals. Like rebuilding Ukraine would be a big
Mhm.
deal for American corporations, right? That's who they're sending in. That could be part of the deal. Rebuilding Gaza, that's what he's saying. He's saying, listen, they have no money. Who's going to rebuild? Let's send in American corporations. We're not gonna own it, but we're gonna own it's a funny concept. We're just gonna control everything, but we're not gonna own it. That's I think somebody said that, one of these corporate bankers
It's
or
like
Robert Barris.
franchising.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to own anything, you just want to control everything. And I think that's his philosophy. So we shall
Oh,
see.
yeah, it's pros and cons here if you're talking about something investment and development in Ukraine with the US. On the one hand, oh, it's good because they will protect their everything. If we build a new Riviera or something, they will protect in case someone want to take it. On the other hand, about control, yeah, so they can shady with election or something else. So it's backside of the coin. We'll see. But I'm happy to have some investment in Ukraine. We still don't have Google office in Kiev, so please welcome.
It's coming.
And we don't have Apple Store. I want Apple Store in Kiev also, please.
Speaking of tech, Elon Musk and Doge, uh, I think this past week the report came out that he was given control of the treasury payment system, which is about 6 trillion. So that's how the US government pays out social security and benefits and all the contractors, all the treasury, all the loot from the US government, all the payment systems. He's seeing all the data, and a lot of people are concerned that he's just doing it so that he can get the data, so he can get everyone's social security numbers and everyone's address and all their metadata, and then feed that all into his AIs, and so that he can. What do you think about Doge and Musk? We talk a lot about Trump, but let's talk about his real vice president, right? Elon
Oh,
Musk.
even that was the picture. It was in some magazine where there's the mask on this uh, White House table, sitting like a real president.
Yeah.
I think for future he can be elected also. Why not? As a part of Republicans. So Trump would say, ah, I'm retired. I'm 100 years old, so don't care anymore. This is my brainy
He definitely has the
grandson.
money to fund his campaign.
Yeah, Doge is a dicey thing. I mean, he's got like 22-year-olds straight out of college, university, looking at everybody's under the covers of everything. I don't know what kind of confidentiality agreements are signed. I don't know what he's bound to, but it is problematic. But I think right now the U.S. debt is something like how much X amount of trillions of dollars at the pace they're going, they're going to be bankrupt or to have to print more money. It's pretty severe right now, the excess in America. So it requires severe remedies. And this is, I mean, I wouldn't think anybody better to do it. This guy's smart. He's an entrepreneur. He's proven. Maybe give him some guardrails, but go at it, man. Like I think it's going to be tough times for America unless they get their house in order.
The interest payment on the US debt is something like 8 or 900 billion, in that range, which is about what the entire military budget of the United States is, which is like, 10 or whatever times the amount of any other, all the other 10 military budgets combined. And that's equal to the interest payments on the debt, is like, multiple of trillions at this point. And it's just, you know, I mean, fiscal expansion, I guess. I mean, it's supposed to be stimulative, but the issue is, like, they have something called a fiscal multiplier in economics. Like, okay, if you spend, a couple million building a bridge, then more traffic passes over the bridge, and that multiplies the economic effects, and so it's worth it to, for every, and you can actually calculate it. Economists do. They call it fiscal multiplier. So for every dollar you spend on certain infrastructure here or there, you get 2 or 3 or whatever the multiplier number is back in economic productivity, and that's like everything goes up. But the issue is, things don't multiply when you're just paying down debt, when it's all financial, when you're just paying interest back to all these banks, and there's not really any actual infrastructure or improvement in the economy. That there's no multiplying effect, in other words, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah.
segues to his sovereign fund, right? Part of that is how do you economically generate revenue, internally, and that's the focus of the sovereign fund, which I think it's not brilliant. It's done before. It's shocking that a country. The problem with the United States is they don't produce a surplus. You need surplus, then so they're in a problematic state, but they need to start that. I know Alaska has a sovereign fund, like state fund, and Canada has a small one with their oil revenues, but
Kuwait has a
Kuwait.
humongous one. Yeah.
Hmm.
Kuwait's the oldest sovereign fund, 1953. We looked it up
Yeah.
this morning, and
Okay.
yeah, so that's why you guys are living large down in Kuwait. You've got compounded since 1953. Good stuff, right? So
I mean, government spending gets to be a political issue, because some people say, well, if you spend, we should balance the budget. But the same people that say we should balance the budget tend to be the ones that say that we should reduce taxes, which doesn't balance, is the opposite of balancing the budget. So people are just largely arguing in politics about what to spend more or to tax less, and it's kind of a moot point. Like, it's more about what are we spending on. Like, the Kuwait sovereign fund has, like, I think they own about 1% of Microsoft, so the dividend on that is like multiple of billions per year, and they're very proud of that. Like, that's a good investment. 800 billion on interest payments to bonds that are held in China or wherever else, maybe not so good. Especially, what do they do with the money? It's like they're selling these bonds, and then the Treasury collects it, and then where does it go? Well, mostly to military contractors, right? And
Hmm.
mostly, it's not, they're cutting benefits like SNAP, like that's the food stamps program for kids, that they've cut that several years ago, that they're, the infrastructure in the United States is rated like what, D or something. And so it's not, a lot of it's not going back into the country. So where is it going? We do need a Doge, but I worry when someone who's not elected, that's what a lot of the criticism is. He's not elected, he doesn't have an experience in government, he's not a government official, and he has access to all the payment system and all people's information. And
It's funny,
so
you just listed four things that people think are negative, but it's the four things that
yeah.
Donald Trump thinks are positive. Not government, not elected, doesn't understand government, is an outsider, and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, hire that guy. That's
Yeah,
his.
fresh blood.
Yeah, like he doesn't want Washington insiders because he believes they're narrow thinking, but they're corrupted. So yeah, I think it's an interesting. It's funny
you
how
could argue that that's the basis on which Trump himself got elected, right? He's an outsider,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely, private sector.
Please consider subscribing below.
Thank you for being with us. Please leave your comments, feedback, what you think about us, and see you in the next podcast. Bye.